Ray said, "Why is being black seen by so many as being less than? And will the African continent ever be an economic success or superpower?" Wonderful question. So let's ask Judah about that. Okay, yes. You asked, dear Ray, why is being black seen as being less than? Well, there is an overarching, deeply rooted spiritual equation behind this, and it is this: the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. You see, there is deep religious programming and other programming, educational, political, and so on, in business and every major construct of our reality on the earth today that says that you should be good and you should not be bad. You should be good and you should not be bad. And so not only are there categories of skin color, but also economic status, educational status, manners of behaving, relational skills, and so on. And it is the way of the ego and humanity to classify everything as good or bad, yin or yang, white or black, light or dark. It is the nature of humanity to judge all things, And the more a collective agreement is linked to a particular judgment or way of thinking, the stronger and more deeply rooted that racism, belligerence, and judgment becomes. And so it is, there is no rhyme or reason, there is no truth, there is no validity to it, but it is what it is. And the issue you are speaking of is one key and crucial manifestation of this yin yang, light dark, good bad, righteous evil, angel devil, and so on and so on and so on. And it permeates every part of egoic thinking, even in regards to spiritual beings. This vessel, if you are reading and following in this YouTube family, which is becoming a spiritual family and community, you will see that she is beginning to address. Sometimes we let this sort of racism that you spoke of, dear Ray, we are even already projecting this onto our relationships with angels and other interstellar races. They have not even fully disclosed themselves or become a part of our society on earth, yet we have already classified some as bad and some as good. And this is another reflection of the racism you were talking about, dear Ray. Now, with all these issues, whatever these grand and large issues must be, we must always bring it back to the one, because the one who can do something about it is you. It is you, dear Ray. It is you, each listener. The one who can do something about it is you. Because when you change your positionality and your consciousness and your way of being, you are adding your drop to the ocean of consciousness. You are expanding the possibilities of consciousness. So this is what we want to say to you, dear. You made a choice to be born into the earth in this incarnation and this time as a Black man. And there are others listening who made a choice to be born as an Asian woman or a Hispanic woman or man, and so on. And whatever choice, whatever you are, you entered into this life by choice choosing to identify this particular experience with that context, you see. And it is very likely that almost everyone watching this video has incarnated more than once, maybe many times, as a Black person or person of color, and also a white person, and every other shade in between, and as both female and male, and so on. That is the reason why some people, when they are working through their gender identity, or they are wrestling with it a bit, sometimes it is because they are leaving, they have just left one incarnation, let's say perhaps as a man, and this incarnation as a woman, and there's some dysphoria there, or confusion, as they are moving from one identity from their most recent past life to this one. Okay, so if you were born into this incarnation, let's say as an African American woman, you are here to add your wisdom and your presence as a powerful fifth dimensional being to the understanding and enlightenment of the group consciousness of African American women. And praise be, we are glad you are here and adding your enlightenment and your consciousness to that particular group. We are thankful for that. So decide between yourself and the higher powers that be what it is that you want to add to the group consciousness within which you were born. For instance, you said, what about the continent of Africa? What do you want to add, if anything, to the consciousness of that continent? We hear your heart cry that you are tired of seeing your people, the people who look like you, the people who have similar experiences and backgrounds and cultures as yourself. You are tired of the poverty and oppression. We hear you. We hear your heart cry. And perhaps this is the very reason why you chose to be born in the skin that you have, and in the form and in the geographical location to which you belong, so that you can shift this culture, this consciousness out of poverty, out of poverty. And where does that begin? It begins with you, dear. It begins with you shifting yourself out of poverty. And we don't mean to sound callous at all, because we understand what it is like to this vessel understands what it is like to be poor. She remembers coming home from a trip where she had worked very, very hard, and she paid the babysitter when she got home and looked inside the refrigerator, and there was no food. No food and no money, and 3 children. And she was working as hard as she knew how to work. And she remembers so many other times like that. Remembers a time of giving sacrificially. She was taught in her religious faith to give 10% to the church, to do it as an act of love and sacrifice to the unseen, to the Father, Mother, God. And she did this in faith, and then yet saw that she and her children suffered. And she banged her fist in anger on the top of the washing machine and said, God, where are you? Why haven't you delivered on your promise? But that same woman now has no worries whatsoever of any sort, and will never think again about money unless she so chooses. And so everything is possible, and you will create your own reality. And we will tell you she did not earn all that money through blood, sweat, and tears, and working herself into the ground. She, by the grace of the powers that be, learned how to attract it through lots of trial and error. So if you want to bring a shift in consciousness to your beautiful people, then begin by setting yourself free and rising out of poverty. And as you do so, there is a ripple effect, a ripple effect, a ripple effect, a ripple effect. You see. Do you have anything on that?
Yes, one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the problems with labels, is that when you label something, divide it, black, white, Russian, American, Democrat, Republican, my God's better than your God, then when we do that, then our ego has to make one better than the other.
Right.
This is one of the downsides to labeling.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Yes. And we want to say that everybody, in this spiritual subculture likes to say we're all one. Well, we just want to say, oh, there's a new time coming where it's going to be real and true that you are all one and experience the other as yourself. If the other is suffering and in shame or poverty, you will see yourself in them. And if the other is rich and well-to-do and prosperous, you will see yourself in them, and you will all be together as one with no labels, as this gentleman has said. No more labels, no more labels, no more labels. Let's stop labeling with words. This vessel was talking to us yesterday about this matter, and she said to us, Judah, I am not red or blue, I am purple. And it's time for us to live this, to get rid of our yin-yang polarities. You see, the truth of the yin-yang symbol is it is not a flat, static, second-dimensional symbol. It is a spinning, living, spinning entity of life force energy. You see. And when you look at the symbol, there is a little black in the white and a little bit of white in the black. And that is how we are, my dear. There is no, the perfection is our imperfection. The perfection is the light in our darkness and the darkness in our light. And the light and the dark together, those together is where our life force energy emanates from.
We're all a piece of God, and there's no one piece of God that's any superior to any other piece of God.
Yep. I think Judah has one more thought about African continent. Okay, yes. Okay, so let's talk about that. There are lower astral entities and humans of lower levels of consciousness that work very hard to dominate and control many areas of the earth out of greed. And so the lower consciousness humans work in tandem with lower astral souls and interstellar races to keep places that are rich in natural resources under their control. And this is the answer to your question about the African continent. For think, my dears, though the people there are predominantly poor and impoverished, the land is the treasure. The land is rich. It is rich with all the beautiful resources of heaven, nature, Mother Nature. There is such abundance and beauty, gold and iron and ore in the earth, and so many amazing plants and animals, extraordinary abundance. And you see, this is the true abundance of the earth. The true abundance of the earth has absolutely nothing to do with the matrix of business and commerce and capitalism. It has everything to do with the land itself. And so, if you are a landowner, we say, well done. Your land is sacred. And to own land is a most sacred act of worship and redeeming the earth. And so, yes, there are dark forces at work that want to dominate and control parts of the earth that are rich in culture, that are rich in relationship and humanity, and rich in the treasures of Mother Nature. And you asked, will Africa ever be free? Well, we say to Africa, be what you are and rise up into your destiny. And do we want them to be a world power? Not in the sense of what others would call a world power. No, we do not want that. But Africa will choose its own fate and create its own reality. And what good thing it creates will be so strong because of what shall be overcome. And so send your love, dear one, to that place and the people there.